Good afternoon. We are live on the Pirrone Prieur show. It's going to be an exciting show. Let me give a quick shout out to our sponsors. We've got Barron's Insurance located in downtown Temperance. If you haven't checked them out yet, you got to do it.
Yeah.
Saved a lot of money.
Oh, I saved money
when I came here. I think like $1,400 or $1,600 for the year, something like that. So check them out. They got some good rates. Indian Creek Zoo is moving along great. They got some good new animals there. What's that? Camel that was just born. They got another giraffe. A lot of nice enclosures. They got a bounce.
What is that?
It's like this big balloon mat type deal, and you bounce on it. You can bounce like 6 feet in the air. Whoa. They're pretty cool. Yeah, so they installed a couple of those. So check them out. Jacob Supply. Any of your home improvement projects, check them out first. Check local out first. The least you can do is call if they have what you need. I'm sure you'll be excited with the prices. They have a lot of appliances and a lot of items, and a lot of them are new.
Definitely.
It's not like a refurbished or
No, I bought appliances there. You get a warranty with them, the whole 9 yards. It's definitely a place to go shop.
So thank them for the sponsorships. And we have Director Brett Raymo here with us from the Sheriff's Department. He is the Director of Animal Control. And I thought, what a great time to get the Sheriff's Department on here and have some conversations. We have so many lost dogs in our community. It's nuts. Yeah. I mean, the Facebook pages get flooded with them. And what we've done with our Facebook pages is said, hey, these need to go to the animal control page. We don't want them on 50 different pages because people need to know they can go to one place, find them on animal control. So tell us a little bit about yourself and how long you've been with the department. And
well, I'm on my 21st year. I'm actually like 20 years and like 4 months, but pretty close.
Wow, you only look like you're 25 or something.
Yeah. That's not going to help your ticket sale. Listen, he's going to ticket you if you know what I mean. Yeah. It's not gonna...
Luckily, it's the mask. Right. But I mean, I was 22 when I started, so I've worked my way through, and I started at animal control, and finish up my career there, and it's rewarding being able to help the animals at the end of the day. So
when you're in high school, what were you thinking about doing? Because you started there pretty sooner, did you? Or were you in college? I
was in college, but just really wasn't sure what I wanted to do. When I got out of high school, I was playing tennis and teaching tennis. So it's good money, but it's not there's not much security. So
where were you teaching at?
For a while, I was the head tennis pro at the YMCA up in Monroe. And, and then I worked at other clubs too. So
yeah. I played in college, so I was like playing tennis.
You did not playing.
Yes, college. I did. Pirrone, I could beat you with one hand right now.
You know what I've heard?
I could beat you with one hand, take my glasses off,
college,
and hop on the court.
Tennis,
and you know about football. Trust me on the football.
Now it's
one of my friends attested to that. and then Pirrone, you didn't hear from the rest of the afternoon.
That's usually the way it goes.
Yeah. So I probably needed animal control when I was in high school playing ball. But anyway, it was probably my mom didn't call animal control on me or whatever. Yeah. So are you from the Monroe area originally?
Yep. I grew up right in the city of Monroe. And I went to St. John's for the grade school, then Catholic Central or SMCC for high school, and went off to University of Toledo. So
Rocket. Pretty cool.
Very cool. So what's some interesting things you see on a daily basis with the job? I mean, you're dealing with animals, so you just never know what you're going to come across.
I mean, I definitely don't want to jinx us.
Any leopards, lions?
Well, I mean, years ago I was the one that took the pictures of the cougars up on Stony Creek Road.
So that's not a myth that we've had some cougars in Monroe County.
It's definitely not a myth. I mean, they're not predominant down here, but we do. I mean, they can travel. So, I mean, you're not going to see them as much. You'll see more bobcats than anything, but it can happen. So,
I had a neighbor swear when I lived on Douglas Road that there was a cougar in his yard and so on. And I was like, yeah, okay.
Well, they said they've seen them in Green Hills.
Yeah.
In our town. Yep. Is that true?
Yep.
Yeah, so it is true. And I always kind of thought, yeah, okay, maybe. Because you could see where something was laying in his bed.
And those are those things that the people need to contact the DNR. So this way they can, come out, see if they can locate them. I mean, for the most part, they're going to stay away from you. They're I mean, when I got the call on mine, I pulled up, spotted the 2 cubs, and grabbed the camera and started walking towards them. They went into the woods, and so did I. So
Yeah,
it probably wasn't the smartest because the mother wasn't probably too far away. But that's not smart. That's definitely not something you should do. But
I didn't know we had bobcats around here. When I played golf in Texas, I was playing with this guy. He goes, "Yeah, you got to watch out for the bobcats." And you think, "Yeah, right, okay." Oh my God! Until I seen one trotting out, going across the fairway. It was like I hit a ball in the woods. As I get staying, I ain't going in there.
If my kids are watching, they're gonna say, "Oh my gosh, Mr. Al just said, oh my God."
Did I say that again?
You did.
Okay.
the thing though, like
I'm Jewish.
for wild animals, though, like they're gonna stay away from you as much as possible. That's.
I think the calls we've gotten was missing animals.
Yep.
Like the cougars are swiping people's little Shih Tzus and stuff like that.
I mean, you have coyotes. You got
could be anything
foxes.
like that.
I mean,
Fox, yeah.
Unfortunately, I mean, you guys have a lot of wooded areas here in Temperance, so.
What's the challenges? I think sometimes people have they're not really sure what animal control does.
Well,
you know what I mean? What are like the services? What are your responsibilities?
It's always been perceived as a negative thing, like
animal control, and it's like
and unfortunately, because animal controls, a lot of people want to say, well, it should be a shelter, and we are working very hard to change the perception. But the original animal control, as it is set up by the state or by other states, it's a control agency. A control agency is to set up to keep the disease population down, because you don't want rabies to start spreading. So that's what animal controls originally were for.
Okay.
So with that, nobody wants to see an animal get put down.
Right.
So like as time changes, there's rescue groups that help pull animals, which help get them out of the shelter. So we work with all the rescue groups for that purpose. There was a trend of no-kill shelters. Unfortunately, with a control agency, that makes it kind of hard, because then you got to say, what value of life is that animal getting living in a kennel?
Right.
But for us, we adopted the no-kill philosophy. We will not put an animal down for space. We will give that animal every chance possible to get adopted. But now if an animal comes into our facility that's sick or injured, we will exhaust our options to help that animal. But if it's to the point where we can't, then we have to make that humane decision, because it's not fair for the animal to suffer.
Yeah, because they're never going to get adopted out. And I think that's a misconception too with a lot of people with dogs, and obviously in your career you've seen a lot of them. And it's like horses. They're not all born with the same intelligence levels. You have dogs, they can get depression. You have dogs that are not mentally stable or right. And some are very aggressive. They're not all warm and fuzzy, and you probably see that.
Yeah, and I mean, unfortunately, a lot of it's a learned trait. I mean, the way they're treated. I mean, if you treat an animal bad, they're going to become scared of humans, so they're going to be defensive. So animals need to be treated properly, so this way they don't end up at the shelter.
Right.
I can tell you this: in 21 years, the quality of dogs that we get is just incredible. I mean,
I watch your guys' page. I follow it. There's some pretty neat animals that come through there.
I mean, and I got a great staff, and they're all dedicated. They're all dedicated to get these animals homes. That's what they enjoy doing.
So, what's your guys' Facebook page? So when somebody has a lost or stolen animal, do you want them going directly to you guys? Correct?
Definitely. Trust me. We want them to come into our Facebook page. We want them calling us. We want them to email us. If you got a picture of your animal that's lost, email it to us. I mean, because we get people call us, "Hey, is my animal at the shelter?" We don't want to have to ever tell someone no. So we say, "Hey, look, can you send us a picture?" We're still going to recommend that you come in and take a look, just to be on the safe side.
Right.
Because maybe the dog's 10 years old. That was when the dog was a year old.
Yeah.
It might look a little different. So we always err on the side of caution. But yeah, no, we want you sending us messages to our Facebook page. We want you calling us. We want you to email us. Because we want to if the animal is at our shelter, we want to get it home.
Mm-hmm.
That's our goal at the end of the day.
When you take these dogs in and so on, what kind of tests do you give them before you adopt them out? Because I think that's a concern that people always like, hey, is this a dog safe to take home to my kids? Or, because dogs got to be matched up with owners too.
Yeah, I mean, COVID kind of changed how we operated. Before, like you could walk into our shelter and we'd take you back into the kennel. Well, COVID changed that. So when there was the restrictions and we had to shut down for a while, we, I brought my staff in, I talked to them, I'm like, hey, the restrictions are starting to lift. What do you guys think about appointments? Let's switch to, if you want to come see the animals, we're going to do appointments.
Do you do virtual appointments now?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Maybe
everybody's
someday.
Going to virtual everything.
But so
that would be something.
Right.
I guess you got to be with an animal.
Kind of do it.
But so what we do now,
Pre-screen.
though, you come in, and one of my workers, they'll talk to you, and they'll see like what you're looking for, what the dynamics in your household is. If you got kids, if you got other animals. And so what we do is we take what you're telling us, and we go into the shelter, we go into the kennel, and we try to gear like 2-3 dogs that fit your needs. This way we try to make the adoption a success right away, Now, if you have animals at your home, we have you bring the animals. So we do the meet and greets with them.
That's a good idea.
If you have kids, we have you bring the kids too. We try never to send a dog to a household because we don't want the adoption to fail.
Right.
When we get the animal out of the shelter, we want that animal to live in a comfortable home for the rest of its life. That's our purpose. And
that's it. That's a hard part with rescue. I think a lot of people too, they hear the word rescue dog and, they get worried like, hey, is this going to be a good dog? And there's a lot of good dogs
you never
out
know.
there.
I mean,
right. Well, how, we talk about COVID, and I've read some articles that COVID, a lot of people have had to surrender pets or they can't afford the food and so on. What did you see in Monroe County?
I'll tell you what, we actually had a lot of people calling. We chose to just hunker down. Animals came in. If the owners came to reclaim, we did the reclaims. But for adoptions, we just hunkered down. This way, nobody was exposed in the beginning.
Okay.
And I'll tell you what, we rode the beginning part of the storm, and as soon as the restrictions came up, we had people making appointments right away.
Oh, that's good.
And before the shutdowns and all that, we had a total of 15 dogs in the kennel. So, our numbers had started going down, and so now we're keeping our numbers real low. And
were you around for the Nala and Booger story? Remember that?
Yep.
That's an interesting law. It's a 1945 dog law.
1919.
1919.
Wow.
Okay, I was off a few years, but 1919 dog law, to where the supervisor of the township acts as the judge, because it's back then livestock. If your animal kills somebody's livestock, it's up to the supervisor of the township. Something crazy.
I know
like
Greg
that.
Stewart got involved.
Yeah, it was
in
Greg
that.
Stewart that got involved with that, and our board was involved. But I mean, that was crazy.
Oh yeah.
Well,
and a lot of people don't realize that's just an old law. And so now when we get the livestock stuff, we do get the township involved because it's the way the letter of the law is written. And so we'll handle the running at large side of it. We'll handle the no license, no rabies if need be. But for the investigation in the livestock kill, then that does fall on the township.
For sure.
What do you see breeds? I mean, we keep hearing all this stuff on pit bulls and so on. Do you see a lot of pit bulls that you rescue?
It's I don't want to say hit or miss. We do get a lot of the bully breeds.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to say pit bull because you get mixed.
Right. Everybody's
but they're great dogs. They really are. In 21 years, in almost 21 years, I can count on one hand actually how many mean pit bulls I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And
It's all about the owner.
Exactly.
What kind? Do you have a dog?
I got 3 dogs.
You have 3. What kind of dogs do you have?
I have a Tibetan Spaniel. I have a Italian Greyhound.
Oh, those are
and
nice.
I have an Airedale.
Oh, you got an Airedale?
Yeah, he's a handful.
Oh,
we just got a Labradoodle. with the kids. We held off for a while because the tough thing is what do you do with them when you go on vacation or if you go on a camping? You know what I mean? It's really tough. Do you recommend? I mean, is there places to shelter locally, or what's some things people could do?
Well, there are boarding kennels in Monroe County. Actually, I believe Bedford has 2 or 3.
Mm-hmm.
Usually, though, when people call us, and this is always my answer to them, I'm like, call them,
Right.
Because we, being a government agency, we will not make recommendations. It's not fair,
Yeah.
So we always just tell people, call up, ask them to come take a visit. If you feel comfortable letting your dog be boarded there, then it works for you.
Yeah, we went first. Like I use Birch Haven out towards Whiteford.
Yep.
He'll let you come and visit. And even if you have a dog that might be a little aggressive, okay, or maybe he's got these electronic gates and stuff. He doesn't have to worry about that. So it's like when we take our 2 dogs there, they're how dogs can be a little territorial. These 2 can be that way, but over there they're fine. He does a great job. But go visit, and you can see the facility, and they'll show you. And you also have the thing too. You can call somebody to come into your house. They'll take care of your house, walk your dog, do the whole.
We just take our dogs on vacation with us. So
Yeah.
I bought a place up north, so.
Well, Pirrone's got like 10 kids, so it's kind of trying to fit them all in the trailer.
All I got to do is say the word cabin, and my dogs are ready to roll. So,
does your Airedale like to swim?
So far he hasn't jumped into because we have the lake up there, so he hasn't jumped in. But if you turn the shower on, he's right there,
I know
ready to jump in there. So.
My uncle had an Airedale. That thing, it'd see water. It was like, I'm going. It's like, well, it was crazy though. I used to own a lab. It's a great dog. Had her for like 8 years. She went too soon, but I had to teach her to swim basically because most labs will take to the water. She was like, "Whoa, don't! It looks like a big hole over there." So I literally had to call my buddy and have him bring his dog and say, "Okay, we got to do a little peer pressure here." So we were throwing some stuff out into the pond, and then finally she was like, "Okay, I'm not sitting back." And then she went. Yeah. So, but the problem that people have too with training dogs, and I've seen some pretty what they do, especially sometimes on hunting dogs. You don't take a dog out in a boat and throw it over the side of the boat and say, "Oh, let's learn now swim." You don't do those kind of things. No. It's the same way people hitting a dog. You don't hit a dog. That's the hand that feeds them and loves them.
Oh, exactly. And the love that an animal actually gives is so unconditional. That's the side of it that people don't understand. It's like you are like the world to that animal,
Yeah, especially with dogs, it's it's fascinating because one, they're a pack animal to begin with, but they're that animal that has evolved over hundreds of years. You think about what dogs can do. I mean, they help people with special needs.
Oh, it's insane.
They go to war. They search out bombs. They're cadaver dog. I mean, it's the one animal that's so versatile. It's crazy what dogs can do.
Oh yeah.
Same way with horses, where we've had horses, and you look at what horses can do. They can work. They run races. They do a lot of different stuff, and especially in therapy, dogs and horses are great in therapy. So those are some of the things that I've seen that I like to go pheasant hunting and so on. And when you watch those dogs work, it's incredible.
Oh yeah.
And especially when the older one will get honored by a younger one because that young one will wait for him to go get the bird first and be like, okay. Can I go now?
So what's some advice you could give to animal owners, new animal owners, or whoever?
I mean, definitely always be, especially with puppies, stuff like that, or kittens, be patient. That's the biggest thing, patience, But I mean, also definitely make sure to get the dog, if a dog, cat, make sure to get a microchip, get that microchip registered, get the dog license, And
how do you do that now with licensing, with everything being closed?
Well, I mean, luckily, we never actually closed our office we still did like during license season, because the new restrictions hit like right in December, right when we started selling. So what we did is, even though we locked the office door, we had people calling us. Hey, when you get here, call us. We'll let you in. We just limited, instead of having 20 people waiting in the lobby, we took 4 people in the lobby, got them processed, brought the next group in, So we kept on moving, So our office is open, and, if you can either do it by mail or you can do it in person. I know Sheriff Goodenough and myself, we've been looking into trying to create online sales.
Oh, that would be easy. That'd be good.
Just for, if just in case something like this happens again.
Yeah.
I mean,
it could happen again. I mean, we're talking about all these COVID variants.
This was a learning.
Why is it they have dog licenses?
Well, this goes back to that wonderful law of 1919. Animals in Michigan, or dogs in Michigan, had to be licensed. This way, in Michigan, unlike Ohio, you had to show proof of the rabies certificate. So by having the license, they knew the dog had the rabies shot. Since, there's really no cure for rabies, it was just a preventative measure. Back then, it's not a tax to get rich or anything like that. And we're one of the cheapest counties in all of Michigan. We charge $7.50 for a spayed and neutered animal, or $15 for a, on neutered or on spayed.
Yeah, and that's another topic too.
Al doesn't have his dog license.
Huh?
You should stop by there sometime.
Just
to give me a heads up. He lives right over here.
I think my wife was getting mine.
Oh.
Yeah. So it was only $7.50. I think she's going to get 2.
Oh.
One for the dog, one for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
so we're both going down the street together. I've had a lot of different dogs, which is, I'll tell you what, the craziest dog I ever had. I mean, she wasn't crazy, but she was a mix of a Chihuahua and a miniature pinscher. And this dog probably weighed 6-7 pounds, and we just loved her to death. But my wife had just had a baby and stuff, and we bought this lot, and she went over there with her friends, and they took our dog and our friend's dog. Matter of fact, it was over at Kimberly Oaks, and her friend had kids too. And they thought our dog jumped in the car. So she gets home, and it's like, where's the dog? And mind you, we're going to get ready to go on a trip to California like in 3 days. And it was before the internet. So we're out, putting up posters. The neighbors says, hey, we'll keep checking and so on. In Kimberly Oaks, there was woods all back in through there. And so we're like, okay, we got to go on a trip. So we leave. And my father-in-law lives on Erie Road. Okay, so from Kimberly Oaks all the way to Erie Road, I don't know, what is that, 4 or 5 miles, maybe a little bit longer. He calls up, and our dog had only been to his house for a couple times. He calls up and he says, Al, he goes, you're not going to believe this, but your dog is in my backyard. I mean, it was one of those incredible journey stories. This dog should have never made it. I mean, a raccoon should have got her. And that dog had that scent and made it over to my father-in-law's house and only been there a couple times. And he, I said, are you sure somebody just didn't drop her off? Nope. Al goes, wow, came from crazy. The woods. It's like the dog's coming from the woods. It was like, wow. So
I tell you, I'm super impressed with the sheriff's department and the direction they're going with a lot of things. So I think it's really cool with the online stuff you guys are talking about. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of, things you guys are going to be looking at as well to improve. And
definitely Sheriff Goodenough
he's very hands-on.
Exactly. And that's a good thing, and a lot of the stuff that he was bringing to the table, me and him have sat down plenty of times, and I've told him a few of the things I was looking at, and it feels like we're on the same page, making the place bigger and better. And
yeah, that's awesome.
And that's the goal. Like at the end of the day, that's, we want, I believe like the shelter belongs to the community. So, the community helps us when we're short on dog food, cat litter, So
yeah, I always see that where you got a truckload of it. And
last year I did a
you did a fundraiser.
Yeah, we did a fundraiser. Dog is like bring dog food, and we dropped off half to you guys and half over to Humane Society. I mean, I couldn't believe how much we got like in 3 hours. Matter of fact, we should try to do that
So
again.
with food like that, do you guys just use it at the shelter, or
Yes,
do you donate it, or?
Well, we use it at the shelter. Unfortunately, I mean, sometimes, like right now, like our numbers we've worked on the adoptions and working with great rescue groups, so our numbers are lower. So sometimes we get to where the food, we can't use it, and it's getting close to being expired. So we've donated to other rescue groups.
Oh, that's good.
My take is we're not going to throw it in the garbage.
Yeah.
So every bag we mark it. So we try to keep it close. This way we're not having expired food. And if there's a group that can use it, I mean, even, I plan on reaching out to like different, like homeless shelters.
Mm-hmm.
I know there's like Oaks of Righteousness in Monroe,
Mm-hmm.
People,
That's a neat place that they just opened.
People are struggling, so,
Yeah.
Right.
and if, what's the point of us if it's close to expiring and we can't use it, someone else can use it.
Yeah, exactly. There's people, you're right, during this time, or they've been laid off, or they don't want to give up their dog. They want to feed their dog and so on. So yeah, the pets need some help too.
Yep.
When it comes to this, cats, dogs, and so on. And, especially a lot of times too with cats, people just throw them out and think, oh, well, they'll make it on their own or whatever. That's not always the case, so, because you guys deal with cats.
Yeah, I mean, we deal with everything. I mean, every type of domesticated animal. I mean, wildlife is more the DNR, but I mean, now if it's wildlife that's been involved in a bite, then we deal with it, just on rabies control. So
Yeah.
Right. How do you see like horses? Do you get many cases with horses? I mean,
yeah, we get a lot of horse calls. We get them.
They called them on me when I was campaigning. They said my horses were under feathers. It gets political too, doesn't it?
Oh my gosh. That's crazy.
At the end, though, like I'd rather someone call and let us take a look at it, and just make sure it's
Yeah.
Good.
Right.
And especially like with horses, people don't realize it doesn't take much for a horse to get down in weight, but it takes a while for the horse to get back up in weight.
They need a lot of calories when you're trying to put weight on them.
Or as we say, a lot of groceries.
Yeah.
And a horse is a tough pet to have.
Oh, it
because
is.
it's not really a pet. They're great. They're loving and all that, but there's a lot of work. So we see a lot of that.
We thought we'd get a couple horses because with homeschooling our kids and with chores and stuff, and we never owned them before. We just got 2 horses, put up a fence, and it was crazy. I mean, we loved them, had a great time with them. We had saddles and and rode them around. I mean, it was a lot of fun, but man, it was a lot of work and it was expensive.
There's a lot of care to a horse. People,
they're not cheap.
No, they're not at all. And I mean, my daughter's competed and stuff, but horses get sick, they colic,
Oh yeah.
Well,
you're walking that horse around in the arena because it's sick, and
owning a horse is a labor of love. I mean,
it is.
You have to love that because you are spending a fortune.
They are neat to watch, though. I mean, you see them in your backyard laying down, and I mean, you wake up and you see a horse in your backyard. It's pretty cool.
Well, that or if you go to some competitions like reining horses, or you get the cutters. I love watching the cutters because there's the ones they're rounding up the cattle and stuff. And those horses, they know what they're doing.
You know what the most expensive bed in the world is made of? Horsehair.
No kidding. Jeez, I'm glad to know that. Maybe I'll go over to Hunter's Run, give me some horsehair, and make some pillows out of it. But they used to make brushes. They still do, probably. Some of them were out of horsehair.
So, what's another good story you have?
Trying to think.
Is there a lot of dog fighting in Monroe County? You hear about that?
Yeah, I mean,
not just the Democrats and Republicans. That's it.
Yeah.
Not really. I mean, we've had a few cases of it, but we've gotten to it like either just before or slightly after. So I mean, we've had a couple, and in my time frame, I've been out on 3 of them so far. So.
Oh wow, that's got to be painful to see, though. I mean,
I don't understand how someone could treat.
How do you do that? I mean, I don't see the excitement in it. I don't see it, but I just don't get it.
I mean, like the craziest though. I mean, like we've had people turn alligators loose into the river. So,
what about the one in Bedford not too long ago?
Yeah.
Remember that one? Were you involved with that at all?
No, I was actually on vacation.
Oh, okay.
And I was joking with well, he was my senior officer at the time. But he just retired. I was like, man, I go, I'm on vacation. I was like, why can't I have been working when that happened? You know?
Right.
Because like with the alligators in the river, like there was a guy up doing a show in like Wayne County from Florida, and he had all his alligators. So he volunteered his time and worked going up and down the, River Raisin trying to find the other alligator. We got
Wow.
one. We got one while it was sunbathing, and then we were going all up and down the river
Yeah.
at like 2:00 in the morning, like trying to find find this other one. So,
Yeah,
Didn't find it. He's
Never
still out
found
there.
I'm sure the winter got him.
probably not. But
Do you run into animal hoarders? Because I've seen some of them shows on TV, where they got 50 cats and, dogs.
oh yeah, that does happen. And that's that was another thing not too long ago. I talked to Sheriff Goodenough about, and it's one of those things you ask yourself, is the person being malicious and like trying to neglect the animal on purpose, right, or is it more of like a mental health side? So now, like, if it's something that we come across, I'm training my officers to recognize, maybe send out a mental health evaluation to get these people help too.
Oh, I believe, because I taught some classes and for the insurance industry in terms on hoarding. It's definitely, in most cases, there's a mental issue going on when you have, like, we ran into a job one time. She had like over 20 some cats. I mean, they're flying all over the place. She wasn't mean. She's feeding them all. It just, I don't think she could ever let any cat go, and it was, and you see that, and it was, and the sad part was it was a duplex, and then her daughter had cats, and that's where all the damage was in the duplex. So the daughter had to get all her cats out. I mean, it was, and then you had the feral cats that would come walking up to the job site. Yeah, but to her, it was like normal. It wasn't, oh, I have too many cats or I have a problem, but obviously they do.
Well, that's one of the things, like myself with Sheriff Goodenough, we're trying to work on helping out, because with COVID, a lot of the stray cats didn't get fixed, because there's a lot of rescue groups that trap, neuter, and return them. So we're working on trying to come up with ways to help with that. One, to like prevent so many feral cats and stray cats. So we're trying to come up with programs, try to find grants, and that maybe like grants where we can maybe get the public vouchers to get some of these cats fixed.
That would be good.
So we're working on that too. So it's,
because isn't it hard with feral cats to do anything with them after?
It's not feral.
Is it feral?
It's feral.
Feral. Okay. Like Farrell. What's that actor's name? Farrell.
The problem is, though, like a lot of cats get labeled feral when they're actually not feral. They're unsocialized. So it's trying to recognize the difference between a feral cat and an unsocialized cat. And until you start getting them in and you start kind of working with them, then that's when you start realizing. But then like with the feral cats, for like us, when we had a spay and neuter grant, we got a whole bunch spayed and neutered, and then we worked on finding barn homes for them. This way they're going to live out their best life and they're taken care of. And
we had a cat show up on our front porch a few months ago, and we brought him in and got him neutered and all the shots or whatever, and it just kept diarrhea. And gosh! And it was like, what the heck? So we ended up getting him to a friend who had one of them outside, and it was parasite or something. Ended up finding out. So, but
well, it's barn cats, so they got a purpose. I mean,
and they really do.
Yeah, I mean, you need them.
Yeah.
I mean, your dairy farmers, they need them. They keep down the rodents. So, yeah.
I know where we boarded our horses, they always had a couple cats, going around. And so, well, you had a tragedy in your department with Darren Young. And how did that affect your department? Because I heard a lot of great things about her.
Oh yeah. She was definitely a good kid. She was a good worker. Comes from a great family. Yeah, I mean, it hit really hard. It was definitely one of those days that you would never, start out as a normal work day. You know, I was coming in, and my senior officer, who's now retired, he made the call. He called and said that she was involved in an accident. He actually witnessed the whole thing. So then like everybody's rushing to get on scene, and it was definitely one of those days that rock you.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I joked about this. I said, you look back and you think what you did when you were 24 years old.
Right.
Everybody's done stupid things, and then here's a kid doing everything right, and just a tragedy.
Because there is an element of risk to your job, whether you're dealing with these animals, whether you're getting bit or you're on the road, you're
every day. And then we go out after hours too. I mean, we get called out in the middle of the night too. So.
Oh, you do?
Oh yeah.
But see, I didn't know that. I think everybody did.
Yep. No, I have two officers, and we do. They rotate their on-call schedule. So every other week you're on 24-hour call-in. So you work your regular shift, and if there's an emergency involving animals after hours, then you can.
So what kind of things would you say would be emergencies for animals that you would go out on?
If an animal gets hit, obviously injured animals. The hospital will call us for dog bites, but now we also have like the deputies helping with the dog bites now too. So, and some of the stuff that we were being called out before, now with Sheriff Goodenough, he's having the road guys also help out too. Because I mean it's a lot of pressure for one person to work all week and then also be on 24-hour call in too.
Because when you mentioned dog bites, so let's say a dog bites somebody, then you have to quarantine that dog or take.
Well, we do a lot of in-house quarantines. So we go over the quarantine rules with the owner, and they have to sign the agreement. And now if they violate the agreement, then we will come and bring the dog in to finish up the quarantine for the health purposes.
So what calls? Okay, should people call you on just overall? Because we get some calls at the township, and it's like, well, call animal control, or somebody said, well, no, I need to call this one or call that one. It's like, so exactly what are all the things that you guys get involved in?
Obviously you got your barking dog complaints, you get your running at large complaints. We get a lot of check the condition.
How do you guys handle barking dog complaints?
We go out and we talk to the people and try to get them to understand that, their animals making noise that's affecting other people, and in all my time, like I've never had someone just make a complaint and be unreasonable. Like most of the time they're like, hey, it's 2:00 in the morning, the dog's barking. Mm-hmm. So you go out, you talk to the people, and you try to get them to understand, hey, is there any way, your neighbor's not complaining because the dog's barking. It's barking because it's 2:00 in the morning. That's where they're complaining.
Right, and they don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
So
that's one you get a lot of.
And you get a lot of people, and it depends on how the officer approaches it. If you approach it in a just an understanding manner, they most people try to work it out, and nobody wants. I don't think anyone's ever really intending to, hey, I'm gonna make my dog bark at 2:00 in the morning.
Right.
So we barking dogs sometimes takes a couple visits to get it under control, but they kind of resolve themselves a little bit.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need to get training too, as dogs just need training in terms of that bark control and so on. Because you get some dogs, they'll bark at anything or just stand out in the backyard and bark for nothing.
Then we also get like the animal cruelties, animal neglects. So we go out on those. Obviously, bites. And then we get called out. Like if a deputy's out making an arrest, and there's an animal in the vehicle or animal in the house, and there's no one to care for it, the person's going to jail. So we get called.
I never really thought about that one.
Yeah, we there are a lot of drunk drivers that take their dogs for a ride, and the owner's going to jail, and unfortunately, the dog gets to go to jail for the night too.
Dog's probably sitting there like, what did I do? I didn't do anything. Why do I got to go here?
Well, we really appreciate you
Yeah.
being on. If there's anything else you want to leave with our viewers, or
No, definitely. I mean, like I said, we're working on a lot of good things. With the tragedy, Darian's family actually raised money, and we just built 6 dog runs on the south side of our property. They're
Oh, nice.
8 by 32 each, and then we built two work areas on the east side of our building. Those are like, I want to say like 51 by 51. So I mean, good size. Right now, we're working on trying to change out some of the kennels inside, and we redid all the flooring back in 2019. Put a brand new ventilation system in.
nice.
So we're trying to change the place, make it bigger.
Yeah, you need a
better,
good ventilation system.
Oh, yeah.
So we're trying to work on getting more grants to get more animals spayed and neutered,
Nice.
and trying to just do more in the community.
Yeah. If there's anything ever we can get involved in or help with, let us know.
Yeah, definitely.
And definitely, like, I mean, we take volunteers. So, and I actually spoke to was a senior center in Monroe today. So I'm going to try to work out somewhere where some seniors can come in and volunteer and have something to do. And before COVID, we were working with like pets for the veterans down here.
Okay.
And down here, we were trying to work with getting veterans to volunteer, and also to get pets to the vets too.
Right.
So yeah, we're working on a lot of stuff. It's busy. It's every day's a busy day, and
If you're a volunteer, what are some things that volunteers would be doing for you?
the volunteers get to walk the animals. I mean, I got volunteers that will come in and help clean.
That's cool.
I got volunteers that, like, in the springtime, they'll come through and weed flower beds, and I got volunteers that make enrichment bags to give to the dogs, and yeah,
Nice.
I never realized a shelter takes a village.
Right.
Yeah.
It's they're a lot
Yeah.
of work. I mean, dogs need care. Like cats
Same
need
thing
care.
with the township. We run on volunteers. I mean, we have tons of volunteers.
I mean, those animals got to eat and sleep, and
Yeah.
someone has to take care of them.
Well, cool.
Great.
And like I said, we're right now we're like Monday through Friday, and but we're Sheriff Goodenough and myself, we're working on an alternative work week, so we're going to be able to offer a Saturday once a month. But now our volunteers, they have access to the animals 7 days a week. So
Okay.
even on the weekends, I allow my volunteers to come in and work with the animals too.
Yeah.
So
Very cool. Well, thank you so much for being
Thanks for
on.
coming
and,
out. That's been
thanks
great.
for having me.
letting us know about what's going on in the community, and hopefully you get some more lost dogs your way and not our way. So
Right. Send them north.
But hey, to the viewers, tune into the township board meeting tonight at 7:00. And that'll be on you can get the information to get on from our website, bedfordmi.org. And just a lot of good things going on. The summer is getting closer.
It's finally here.
Finally getting here. Today was almost 75 or something like that today.
Get to play golf, ride my bicycle, do all those fun things.
Yeah, there you go. So, but we want to thank our sponsors one more time.
Yeah, Barron's Insurance, Indian Creek Zoo, Jacob Supply. The thing with all three of these entities, they always support the community too. That's, they're more than just a business in Bedford. So they're always helping people out.
That's right.
So visit them.
Well, cool.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much.
Thanks for coming on.
And see you guys in 2 weeks.